And welcome to today's pitch segment of the conference. Really excited to kick this off. Okay, so let's jump into what the next hour and a little bit's going to look like. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the prizes that are up for grabs here today. There's 3 prizes, technically 4 actually, because there's also an audience vote, but 3 first, second, and third kind of main prize and an audience prize as well. Then we're going to get into meeting our judges here today. We have 3 incredible judges. Unfortunately, my business partner, Paul Broussard, really wanted to be here, but he ended up getting a really bad flu. And so he asked me to say hello to everyone and to apologize, but he was having a really hard time even opening his eyes today. So I said, go back to bed. And I'm really excited to get to know the 3 judges here a little bit better and to introduce them to you, of course. So then we'll get into our pitch and presentations. So we have 5 companies here today. They're each going to have 5 minutes to pitch, and then they have 5 minutes of feedback and Q&A with the judges. Following that, myself and the judges are going to go into deliberation. The conference will continue at that point in time after you've done your audience vote, of course. And you can go into all the different workshops and networking and panel that Dwayne had talked about just a few moments ago. And then please do make sure to come back at 5:45, as Dwayne had also mentioned. That's when we will have our winner announcements. All right. So a little bit about how to connect. I know I already talked about how to connect on social and that we'd love to see you there, but you can also connect here on Hopin. And this is a great, during this pitch segment while we're on stage here together, really great time to do that. So you can, of course, use the chat. I've already seen some people active in the chat and talking to each other. That's fantastic. Please continue to do that. Let us know where you're joining from. I myself am joining from just outside of Montreal. And talk about, what organization you're joining from. Make sure to be sharing comments and congratulations and kudos to our pitchers, of course. You can also connect with each other right in Hopin. You can do that through, we'll share the LinkedIn profiles of all the pitchers, of course, but also you can go to the People's tab where you can see everyone who's here today and you can direct message them there. And as Dwayne mentioned, we will open networking at 4:00 p.m. for an hour of kind of getting to know each other through networking as well. Aside from that, if you happen to have questions for the panel or the pitchers themselves, well, we're not going to take audience Q&A during their 5 minutes of feedback and Q&A. You can, of course, ask your questions in the chat. There is also a Q&A tab. You can put questions in there. And we'll make sure to remind the pitchers to go and check those areas out and to answer your questions that you might have. And you see voting, of course. So voting is not open yet, but at the end of the pitches, we will open voting up, and you'll be welcome to vote on your audience favorite. And that company will walk away with $1,500 just from that audience favorite vote. So please do be asking questions, paying attention, thinking about the pitch itself, but the company, what you're excited about, and what products, services, all the things you would love to see come to your community. So that's how we can make sure that we are connecting with each other and engaging in this virtual space. So let's talk about the prizes. As I just mentioned, there are technically 4 prizes, and very happy to announce and be able to provide cash prizes for each of these top placings. So for first place, it's a $4,000 cash prize, as well as a Startup Canada podcast interview, and a bunch of other things that I'll get into in a moment. Second place prize is a $2,500 cash prize. Third place is $2,000. And then all 3 of those will also receive some strategy sessions with Songbird Marketing. I know first place will have a more robust pack from Songbird Marketing, but all 3 of the top 3 will have access to some strategy sessions with them. All 3 will also get a year's pass to CW, to the Canadian Women's Chamber of Commerce, I should say, CWCC. All 3 will also receive a 4-hour strategy session from CSBW and some startup advising sessions from Volition as well. And the audience favorite also walks home with that $1,500 cash prize. So thank you so much to all of our prize sponsors who contributed to making these prize packs. They're incredibly valuable, and we really appreciate everyone contributing to that. So with no further ado, I would love to introduce our judges here today. So we have Trisha Ryan, who's a strategic who is the manager of strategic initiatives at Restaurants Canada. We have Brooke Gordon, who's the regional manager of client diversity at BDC, and Pamela Rosclair, who is the business development manager at Futurepreneur Canada. But I'm going to let them each introduce themselves better than I possibly could, of course. So please, I would like to invite Trisha Ryan to the stage. If you are available, I would love to bring you up here to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. I'm really looking forward to this. One of the things that happened for us last year was the blurring of channels due to COVID and restaurants being closed for well over 300 days. And prior to my joining Restaurants Canada, I had run the Technology Access Center, which helps entrepreneurs go from concept to commercialization. So have a fair comfort across the food and beverage space, as well as alcohol products, in helping entrepreneurs as they want to get to market from a marketing perspective, but right down to regulatory packaging, et cetera. So really looking forward to the presentations, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Trisha. I got to meet Trisha yesterday and heard a little bit more about her background, and it's incredibly valuable. I'm very excited for all of the entrepreneurs to learn from you here today, Trisha. So thank you for being here. Brooke Gordon, I would like to welcome you to the stage. Please do introduce yourself.
Hello, so glad to be here today. I'm just double checking I'm not on mute. So delighted to be here on behalf of BDC. We are the Business Development Bank of Canada. So my role there, I'm the Regional Manager of Client Diversity, serving Ontario and Atlantic, and I have colleagues from all across Canada as well. Part of our role and our commitment is to support all entrepreneurs across Canada in how their vision is for growing their business. So sometimes that's through financing, other times it's through advisory services, and sometimes it's even through connecting with partners in the ecosystem, partners like Canadian Small Business Women and others, Futurepreneur, who's here as well. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to pop by the booth. We just had a new video that we launched. When I saw it, honestly, I got really choked up, partly because I think it's an awesome video, but more importantly, to know that this is what my employer is really valuing, breaking barriers for women. So really excited to be here on Women Entrepreneurship Day.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Really looking forward to hearing your expertise here today as well. Pamela, last but certainly not least, kept saying that backwards. Welcome to the stage. Please do introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. So hi everyone, I'm Pamela Claire. I'm from Futurepreneur, also known as Rosie. So I am the business development manager for our Black Entrepreneur Startup Program. We have a variety of programs. And essentially what I do is that I help entrepreneurs just make sure they have their business plan ready. Because what we offer essentially is financing and mentoring as a combo. So yes, I make sure the entrepreneurs have their business plan ready. I also dabble with mentor recruitment because we always need new mentors. And I also work with different partners just to make sure that all the needs are covered for everyone. And so I'm really excited to be here and to help judge these pitches.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And yes, not to confuse everyone, I do know Pamela as Rosie, so I'll probably be calling her Rosie. So you just know that that's the same person there. Yeah, so thank you so much to our judges. We really appreciate you contributing your time and expertise here today. All right, next slide. Let's see who the pitchers are. Okay, we have 5 companies here today. We have Street Food World Inc., we have B Collaborative, we have Santee, Nani's Achar, and Lucky Bug Farm. So all come from very different aspects of that farm to table kind of landscape, and I think is going to serve for a really interesting next about 45 minutes of our lives here today to learn all of these incredible companies that come from across Canada. Amazing. Okay, so with no further ado, we're going to invite up our first pitcher. This is Tara Iyer, the founder and CEO of B Collective. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely. So
Perfect.
as soon as you're ready, just take a deep breath and we'll start the clock on your 5 minutes. And we'll let you know when your 5 minutes is up if you happen to go over time.
I am ready to go. So first of all, I just wanted to thank the judges, all those involved, and everybody that supported me in voting to get me this far. I'm very grateful to be here for the experience, and good luck to all the other presenters as well. So yeah, as is introduced, my company name is called Be Collaborative, and I've just put the asterisk there, collaboration definition, to be sort of just highlight the values and what we're all about is really to work with another person or company or group in order to achieve or do something. Very early on in my beekeeping journey, I realized I couldn't do what I wanted to accomplish alone. And then as soon as I started studying bees, it was clear to me from their social structure that that's really not how we're designed to operate anyway. So just moving on to the next slide. This is my Meet the Founder slide, and it's a picture of me when I first started beekeeping. And you're bound to make mistakes. I call myself a professional beekeeper, but I'm also a social entrepreneur, and I'm continually striving to adapt and learn. And beekeeping is something that will definitely, and I hope continues to keep me humble. They're good instructors, little bees. They definitely let you know when you're making mistakes. And they're just a complete inspiration to me. And I hope today to be able to share a bit of that passion with you. So in order to do that, in order to give you a background on what the issues or what the problems are, the challenges facing beekeepers, I wanted to just give you some information about the industry. So there's currently 11,785 beekeepers in Canada. That's of 2020. And then it was up from the year before, from 2019, 1,262. So it's an industry it's growing, and it's also basically up by 2/3 from a decade earlier than that. And this increase in interest in beekeeping is largely driven by people's awareness of environmental issues, including colony collapse disorder and just the pollination population decline crash in general. And just in general about the value of the beekeeping in 2020. But we also exported $43 million, or sorry, we exported 47, but imported 43. So just let's sit with that for a minute to kind of let that sink in. And so what that really means and what that tells us is that honey isn't really where beekeepers are making their bread and butter anymore. It's more to do with pollination. So Agriculture and Food Canada, or AAFC, estimated that the total annual economic contribution of honeybee pollination through direct additional harvest value was about $2.5 million. So when the estimated contribution of these extra honeybee pollination contracts is given into consideration, and especially considering the hybrid of canola seed, the total estimates to about $5 billion a year. So, sorry, I don't know if I said million first, but it goes from basically sort of chump change in the millions when we're talking about honey to billions of dollars when we're talking about pollination contracts. So one of the challenges, oops, I got to advance my own slides. So bees are basically dying. This is an old version of my actual slides. Unfortunately, I did some updated versions today that didn't get uploaded, but bees are dying, and the results are really because of humans and how we've done farming practices. And we talk about the 3 Ps. So the 3 Ps are pests and diseases, pesticides, and then also, sorry, I'm hearing noises, and also pesticide use, production, and I lost my train of thought. Pesticides, the 3 Ps. Sorry, pesticide use, pests and disease. I'll just move on. And so the challenges for small-scale operations are that for being the plight of honeybee, this is taken from an article by Laurent Cilia, and it's called The Plight of the Honeybee, a Sociological Analysis of Large-Scale Beekeeping in the United States. So because of all the things that are happening, all the assaults on beekeeping, both from the pest and disease, the pesticides, and then just poor nutrition. That was my 3rd P, sorry, that I couldn't grasp. Beekeepers are forced to adapt to the increasing environmental and economic pressures. And so they've developed new management practices that are intended to keep bees alive. Instead of keeping bees alive, basically, we're just being driven by profit. And that's a concern for best management practices because they fail to fail to take into effect the global changes in agriculture, compromising their own fate with that of their bees. So basically, honeybees and beekeepers are both affected by the current agricultural model designed to prioritize profitability over beekeeping health. beekeeper health. So unfortunately, this is really all out of order, but I'm going to go back to my paper slide, sorry. So I had an illustration, and many of the modern challenges for honeybees, and more importantly, the understudied native pollinators of Ontario, are linked to directly caused to our large-scale agricultural practices. So industrial agriculture, as many are only just starting to discover, is the root cause of many of the problems that honeybees are experiencing. And we often discuss those stressors, but we don't really take into consideration it's actually beekeeping practices itself that has brought us to this place. And so part of what I hope to do is change the model of beekeeping to more profitable for on a smaller scale by community supported agriculture model, by introducing, a community supported agricultural model. So that's this slide here that attempts to put pollinator above people and then above profit, because without pollinators being prioritized, people are going to be eating and consuming a very different type of food at the grocery store. Because basically bees are responsible for 2/3 of all the plant material on the planet, pollinating that stuff, and all the fruits that we like to enjoy, bees are responsible for that. And if their health continues to decline, we're in trouble really on how we get our food to the table. So the partners that I've basically looked at to create the subscription hive model box, where the community is supporting my ability to beekeep, is one named Joe Peralta. He's a hive creator for native bees. So he basically creates these, they look like birdhouses, but they're actually for different types of native bee species. And I would like to work with him to partner to provide more of these types of homes to people in my region. And then another one is, this is an artist that I had in residence for 2022 called Timber Art. It's a local growing business, and she also makes like pendant jewelry out of reclaimed wood. And so the idea is to take other sort of small businesses that are growing from the area that are connected to beekeeping and strategically use those relationships and those products, because I don't have time both managing bees to do the product development and all that stuff as well, but to promote other small businesses that want to protect bees and promote habitat protection for them as well.
I'm so sorry. So sorry, Tara, you're quite over time. So
okay, no problem.
Yeah, I do have to
No worries.
ask. What we'd love to hear is, like what can we do here to support you and your business today? What is your ask?
Yeah, so my ask was to really develop this strategy, so to create the prototype for my Hive sponsorship box. So the marketing strategy stuff was really what I was attracted to. I have, I think, a really good concept, but I don't have the strategy and the tools to make it into the final part of the business plan. So that's where I'm looking for support in this pitch today.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Tara.
Sorry, I got totally flubbed with my slides being wrong.
It happens.
It's okay. It's still a great experience.
It's in there, and I'm sure that there's lots of questions I'm sure that the judges have for you, and we can get some clarification around pieces that potentially we missed in the pitch itself. So Brooke, I'm gonna pass this over to you to start us off here today.
Super. I know I've been like furiously taking some notes. So I wanted to start by congratulating you. I actually have done pitch training where they did exactly that. They just shut off the projector. Old school, this is many years ago, but basically said, and continue, you have no slides. So well done for continuing when your slides weren't aligning with you. One of the things that I wanted to ask a little bit more, and I think I didn't get a chance to hear sort of how it all fits. So you're bringing together others who are collectively supporting bees. What is your vision for that piece altogether? Is the one piece that I didn't quite get to the end of is then what is the collective?
Yeah, so the idea was through the sponsorship that I would actually kind of be able to pitch to the big whale, which is craft brew industry. So as a graduate of Niagara College, I created a honey brew beer as my final project. And so the idea was to create an income stream through like the beer can. So say like, you buy this beer, 10 cents will go towards this pollinator protection fund. And I can use that money to protect habitat in Muskoka for bees, because Muskoka is, I think, uniquely positioned as a healthier habitat for bees because we don't do intensive agriculture or farming up here. And then craft beer is really a strategic partner because of the hops element. I didn't get to that in my presentation, but hops is a really effective organic treatment for bees right now. So it would be a really attractive marketing story for craft beer companies.
Amazing. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I totally flubbed the presentation, but anyway, that was where I was headed. That was awesome. The key partner.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Trisha, over to you.
So, just for clarity, building on what Brooke just asked, you do have a focus then. So, is it to work with the beer industry and help them in your development?
It's a multiple streamed focus, but the first step, like, so I have multiple phases to my business development plan, but the first phase was hive sponsorship so that I could get enough product to sell to craft beer. And then craft beer would help me tell the story. So education and research is the ultimate goal, but yeah.
Have you kind of tested this with people?
I have actually. I've had conversations with local craft companies, and I've had local conversations with local artisans and producers of, like, so one is a native-owned, female-led company called Love North Medicinals, and she produces like hydrosols and plant-based materials. And I gave her propolis that I had for my hives, and she made a propolis tincture. And so things like that, where I'm also educating other businesses. Like I have another detour company, Muskoka company. It's like a makeup company, and they make natural-based makeup. So I sell beeswax to them. So that's the idea. Instead of me going larger scale and trying to own the market and monopolizing and making bees sicker, it's like, how can I, on a smaller scale, create a market just for me to sustain my livelihood in beekeeping, and then teach others to do the same.
How many people do what you're doing?
There's various models, but nobody does like a various elements of this, but nobody's doing quite this like subscription model. And there are people now, the main focus for most beekeepers now is mead. It's more like a wine-based alcoholic beverage coming out of the industry, and that's growing. And I just didn't want to compete. I'm all about collaboration, not competition. So I'm like, there's enough for everybody. So let's tap into this market over here. And so that's where I'm going with my plans.
That's great. That's unique and innovative.
Thanks.
Great.
Thank you. Rosie, take us home.
All right. So thank you for your presentation. You almost made me want to go and see how we'll start beekeeping. And I'm just interested now. I think I could have spent a lot more time listening to your why and why you're doing all of this. What I will say is that for me, I would have loved to dig into your vision, because I feel like what you're doing is very different than what I ever heard about beekeeping and how to uh, be useful, um, and help the bees. So I see that there's a lot of different ventures, and I would have loved to just have because there's so many things you talked about, and I just wanted to have maybe a better vision. I feel like I have to go see what you do.
Yeah, and that is part of the idea. Like, so the idea is having like teaching apiaries where, like, funded through the craft brew industry, they might have, rooftop apiaries at the brew house, and, you come and have a tasting event, and I teach about the beekeeping element, and people become more environmentally aware of their impact and how their purchases matter. So that is part of the plan, actually.
Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful variety.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Amazing. Yeah. Thanks so much, Tara. I know, as Brooke mentioned, like getting through when things aren't going how you planned, it's a lot. And so we really appreciate that you kept trudging on and provided really great education for us and kind of
it went by so fast.
And hopefully everyone will go hang out, go hang out on your website and learn more about what you do at the Bee Collective, because I know it's really interesting. And I think next time you have 5 minutes, just dive right into that unique differentiator and what you're doing that's unique in the industry, because it is really, really interesting to hear precisely what you're doing and what you're bringing to it, and that excitement that you have, because you're clearly very passionate. So we just want to hear more. We want to learn more about what you're doing.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for sharing your why and your vision here today, Tara.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for the feedback.
All right, so the second picture that we have up here today is Diana Pasci, who's the founder of Santee Siouxx. Welcome to the stage, Diana.
Hi everyone.
Hello. So again, whenever you're ready, just take a deep breath, and as soon as you start talking, we'll start the clock.
Can everyone see my screen fine?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm starting with our logo sync for when we launch. There is a picture of my late brothers, and so who were championship hoop dancers. Welcome to my pitch. We established in 2020, and we've been on our journey since. Hami Diana Pache Makiapeya. Hello, my name is Diana Pache. I'm the founder and CEO of Santee, Siouxx, Inc. I'm from the 4 Eastern Santee Dakota bands of the Oshete Shakoan called Wakpektuans, which translates into dwells among the leaves of the 7 council fires, from Dakota Teepee First Nation in Manitoba, and Adawa from the 3 Fires Confederation Confederacy of Wakwamakan Unceded Territory in Ontario, Canada. Currently, I'm proud to call Toronto my home away from home. We are an Indigenous-owned organic tea and accessory retailer from Dakota Teepee First Nation. Each of our premium loose-leaf organic tea blends are named after the Dakota worldview and the Eastern Santee Sioux Dakota dialect to revitalize the gift of our language and culture. The Santee Eastern Dakota of the Wakpektuans are known to be the tea drinkers of the Great Sioux Nation, blending traditional methods with modern ingredients. We have fused the spirit of our culture into the ingredients of our teas. We invest 5% of our profits to help First Nation children under 18 years old, the next generation, receive their Powell regalia, preserving our culture and traditions. It's been long overdue to indigenizing the Canadian economy. Rather than decolonizing the Canadian economy, the term decolonizing is defining us in the relation to the colonial experience. But when we talk about indigenizing, then it directly relates to what we bring to the table, apart from the intergenerational impacts that colonization had in Canada on Indigenous peoples. There is a gap, and Santee Sioux tea can build bridges with the Indigenous community in the mainstream economy. When non-native people see Native people making business for themselves, we can build a mutual respect for one another and do business together. Canadians drink an average of 22 million cups of tea per day. There are no modern tea companies that are Indigenous owned and operated that are currently in the market. So I want to raise awareness with Santee Sioux's brand about reconciliation while having a good cup of quality tea, Indigenous tea, and ultimately provide the solution to that problem. We all have a responsibility in doing our part in reconciliation, and Santee Siouxx is doing its part in advancing reconciliation in Canada. My cost for each 70 grams of tea pouch is $3.95, selling at $19.95. My profit margin for buying the tea at bulk is 80%. I have an overall following on social media of 110,000 followers and growing. We are projecting 5% of those followers will purchase tea, giving us $110,000 in sales for our first year for our sales target. We have completed our website on Shopify and will be launching on all major social media platforms. And winning this conference and you investing in our Indigenous business will help us purchase the tea for our launching, giving us a marketing budget for our release commercial, updating photos of our products for our website, social media influencer partnerships, and ad campaigns. It'll allow us to invest in new products like our black tea line, herbal tea, oolong tea, specialty tea that includes immunity tea, women's tea for period and hormones, and digestive teas. We would like to start working on our Siouxx Big tea line, inspired with Indigenous worldview quotes. And I understand that the importance of having the ability and capacity to expand rapidly and to hire employees is vital. And we don't have that right now to allow us to launch. So it's been kind of our struggle. This will give us the resources needed to be successful at our launch and service all of our customers' needs. So the team currently only consists of myself at the moment, with the help of my 16-year-old daughter and 17-year-old sister. However, I need to build the capacity and raise my capital in order for us to have a successful launch. We want to set ourselves up for success and have all the resources needed to hire staff, if we need to expand rapidly, and if we need to have larger spaces. So a bit of a track sharing where we are. We want to partner with local stores. So far, we've partnered with one location here in Toronto. Our goal is partnering with 634 First Nation health centers in Canada. So far, we have two. We secured two for their diabetes program and wellness conferences, doing things like gifting and swag bags. Partnering with First Nation government and businesses, we have one lawyer firm in Toronto and two First Nations band offices. We've attended Palos, local farmer markets, and this is all before our launch. We've built partnerships. So goal is to be First Nations Indigenous company to collaborate with Starbucks, really hoping that happens, all major grocery stores, and create worldwide sales on social media platforms and distribution partnerships. So Instagram, Meta, Facebook, TikTok, Shopify give traction on their platforms by highlighting Indigenous businesses and use the popular hashtag supporting Indigenous businesses. So my goal is partnering with all of them. Timeline. So 2023, we really want to launch. We want to create those new products and have those sales and distribution partnerships. Worldwide expansion, because that's what social media allows us to do. Get organic certification, get the NP number, which allows us to have natural product, sell natural products from Health Canada, which allows you to partnerships with health food stores in Canada. So that's what we're aiming for 2025. And we want to have expansions in Indigenous communities to create jobs. And so Indigenous peoples are here. And we have tons of stories to be shared. And Santee Sioux is just one of those stories to be celebrated. So thank you for listening to my pitch.
Thank you so much, Deanna. Amazing. Okay, so Trisha, I know that you come from a long storied background of CPG, so I feel like I would like to defer to you for our first judge feedback.
Great. So Deanna, you didn't tell me how it tasted.
With my traction, I tried to explain it tastes pretty good because we're still getting customers coming back. It's very popular. We have the strawberry green tea, maple green tea, and cherry rose. And a lot of these flavors in green tea, they represent our traditional ceremonies we have with maple, that we have with strawberry, that we have with choke cherries. And so that's why we're picking each flavor strategically to reclaim that, Indigenous people in Canada have been using these berries and syrups since time immemorial.
Great. Okay. Thank.
It's good.
No, because taste is always the thing. It might be good for medicine. Then
We totally stay away from the medicinal taste, and we're going with the modern, so we can have our age groups tractions within the 16 years old all the way to like 60 years old. So our main popular seller right now is the strawberry green tea and maple.
Great. And then you mentioned you had a gross margin of
80%,
which is fabulous, because lots of food companies are lucky if they've got 40. So that gives you good room for marketing. So my take on this is it sounds like a good marketing story. So what was missing for me was the product story. And probably there was the assumption, which is why I asked you about the taste, and then you explained to me the berries and that this is Indigenous. And thank you for that. So love the presentation. It was great. I was just hearing it almost like a marketing story because there's a huge gap and everything. But now that you've clarified the sensory component. So don't miss that next time. I think that's important.
Okay.
Amazing, thank you. I'm looking forward to the tea that's for women's hormone and menstrual health and all those things. I think I'm interested to see what that's going to taste like. Rosie, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna, for your pitch. It was amazing. I love the fact that you were talking about not colonization or decolonizing, but indigenizing. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Indigenizing, right. So I just feel like, with new vocabulary, there's just new understanding. And throughout your pitch, I just felt like you were doing a lot of active teaching, or that was the primary goal of your business. As soon as you started talking and saying that we need to see indigenous products on the shelf. So I feel like that is very true, and only like for that purpose, I feel like your business can have a major significance in Canada in general. Um, but I do have a question. So, so I do feel like I have it right that there's a big component of education behind that. But maybe I missed a few other goals that your business or other social goals that your business have, and like if there's any, what are they?
Social goals, economic, social reconciliation, or economic reconciliation, I believe I spoke about giving 5% back to Indigenous children and receiving their regalia. Is that what your question is referring to?
Yes, correct. There was so many information. So yes, um,
yeah. So what we plan by that is investing into the kids in Canada. As you know, there's like, we have one of the highest apprehension rates in Canada and Indigenous children in the child welfare system. So what we want to do is keep them connected to their identity and have products like this in the shelf at Sobeys, Instagram, IG, Walmart. So like, people can see a representation of some products and learn their language. And so a lot of that important of our work we're going to do is like when we do launch on social media is to do like a transition when the child gets the regalia and stuff like that, and just bringing back that sense of pride and identity in the children. So important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.
Deanna, thank you so much for sharing your story today. There was so much that I took down. First, indigenizing, not colonizing. That also really resonated with me. 2 million cups of tea. Also, it's a lot of zeros.
22 million.
But I also really loved that it's you and your sister and your daughter, and that trio, the three of you working together. Hearing also that you need more staff. One of the things that I want to lean into a little bit, you talked about the team, you talked about the opportunity, and as Rosie said, you did give a lot of beautiful education in this. I know we gave you a very short time to cover the breadth of what you do as a company. Can you tell me a little bit about your market in terms of competition? And I ask in part because I know it's a large market, but I also know teas can be very competitive.
Yes, it is a very competitive market, and that's why we've established our brand in this way. And I kind of, to be honest with you, I followed like the Rihanna strategy of how she's a singer and how she's launching her makeup. So it's like, how do you brand yourself? Well, there's not a lot of Indigenous authentic brands. So it's showing like we are the real deal. And, when you build followers and a following and connection with people, people will love you for you, and they will believe in who you are and your products, like how Fenty was successful with Savage X Fenty and her makeup brands. So I followed that. I followed her sense of branding herself into the market, and people have that build of a trusting relationship with you and your brand and who you are. And so, as part of that, is a lot of it is just reclaiming the space of bringing back that history of Indigenous people have been tea drinkers since the time immemorial. And so I think it's like really important to have that relationship in the market. And that's one of our ways to get into the market, because right now there is a lot of people that say they're Indigenous, but they're not Indigenous owned and operated. They'll put like a picture of an Indigenous person on there. They'll put like, oh, we have Indigenous people on the board, but that doesn't make you authentic. So that's one of the problems that we're solving.
Your answer had so much confidence in it, and I think it's going to really speak to your success. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deanna. I think we probably all wrote down indigenizing over decolonizing. And I was just thinking about like how to bring that back to the startup ecosystem, fundraising ecosystem, so many elements, and really appreciate everything that you've taught us here today, but also, of course, that you've shared with us about your business. And I did want to thank Rosie for bringing up the question about that, the impact piece, because I've had the opportunity to hear your pitch a few times now. So was aware of that, but for these judges here today, it's the first time they are hearing these things, and there was so much good information there. So really appreciate that we were able to have a second iteration of the incredible work that you're doing beyond making delicious tea. So thank you so much, Deanna. And I see that we have our third pitcher is ready to join us on stage. So Deanna, we'll see you later on. All right, so up here, welcome, Madihab Vaid. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name there, but this is the co-founder of Nani's Achar. Super excited to have you share about your company here today. So as soon as you're ready, again, just take that deep breath and start as once you're ready to go.
Thank you so much. Just give me 1 second. All right, I'm good to go. Can you guys see the slides okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So my name is Madihab, and I co-founded Nani's Achar with my mom, Farida, last year in July 2021. Achar is a popular South Asian catch-all condiment, similar to a relish, except it's fermented using fruits and vegetables that are pickled in oil, lemon juice, vinegar, and spices. Fermenting and pickling foods is a tradition that's passed down from generation to generation across many different cultures and traditions in the world. It's a very unique method of preserving food while enhancing its gut health benefits. We started this company from a desire to share a family recipe that was passed down from my grandmother, whom I affectionately call Nani. My Nani, and then later my mom, became known as the Achar queens in our circles, because each social gathering or wedding would feature one of their Achar creations, always a sure hit and a crowd pleaser. But when the pandemic hit, my mom lost her daycare business, but not her energy or her drive to keep herself busy. She would send meals to neighbors and her daycare families. Achar would be part of the package, and interestingly enough, we received amazing feedback from families of different various cultural backgrounds. This led to the light bulb moment for me. What if we bottle our achars and get it out to the broader Canadian public? The problem I immediately saw was that the current products available were mostly sold in South Asian grocery stores, imported from overseas, and frankly, unhealthy, teeming with preservatives, high in sodium and calories, and of uncertain ingredient qualities. Our gourmet achars stand out because they are locally produced, naturally fermented, gluten-free, vegan, low sodium, low calories, and contain no preservatives or food coloring. We're not aware of any other achars that prioritize healthiness while targeting the Canadian market. We currently have 4 flavors: lemon, which is sour and spicy; dried fruits, which is sweet and mild; mango, which is tangy and spicy; and mixed veggies, which is more mustardy and spicy. We believe that fresh fruits and vegetables are the foundation to a healthy lifestyle. At Nani's Achar, we start with farm fresh produce, then dial it up a notch with the process of fermentation, which optimizes nutrients, and it's a good source of probiotics, which is great for your gut health. Whenever possible, we use locally sourced ingredients to support local farmers and the communities we serve. We wish mangoes grew in Ontario. Over the last year, we've tested and scaled the recipes, professionally lab tested all 4 SKUs for safety and shelf life, and created labels, barcodes, and partnered with commercial kitchens in which we manufacture and package our goods. We started first with farmers markets and pop-up events. Our initial impressions were confirmed here. We generated tons of interest and received lots of great reviews, not to mention sales from people of all cultural backgrounds. Using this as further encouragement, we then began to sell online on our website, and recently we've been able to stock our products in 8 independent retail grocery stores, and growing, and as well as Healthy Planet online. Our target market are individuals and families who lead a healthy lifestyle and make conscious food choices, as well as customers who consider themselves to be foodies, always trying new products and prioritizing buying local and supporting local farmers and businesses. We see lots of potential here, and our goal is to make achar a must-have condiment in your kitchen, similar to kimchi, hot sauce, or ketchup. We, of course, have our challenges as we scale and grow our brand further. We've identified marketing and including creative education of the product as a priority as we target the broader Canadian market. For this, we would like to hire a creative marketing professional to increase brand awareness, including website, product photos, videos, and social media. From a production perspective, we're currently hand filling each and every one of our jars, and we hope to grow in the short term by purchasing specialized bottling and production equipment that can package our products more efficiently and facilitate production of larger product quantities. Long term, we eventually hope to find a co-packer to offload production while we focus on growing the company, customer outreach, wholesale, and distribution. Currently, the team includes my mom and me. In addition, we've hired part-time staff for production and delivery. We have not raised any funds so far. Winning this competition will be transformative to help secure professional marketing expertise as well as purchasing specialized production equipment. Thank you, and let Nani's Achar vivify your taste buds. Warning, once your taste buds are vivified with the gratifying flavor of Achar, you may never be able to eat a standalone meal again. Thank you.
I love that. I love that ending. Another family business. This is great to see. Okay, delightful pitch to listen to. So I would like to invite up Rosie. You're looking straight at me, or it looks like that to me. So I'm gonna invite you to be our first judge.
Thank you. I saw that Trisha had her mic open.
I'm sure Trisha has lots of feedback to or questions as well.
So I'll go first. Congratulations for starting your business from scratch. Congratulations for capitalizing on a family skill that you got from your mother, your grandmother. I feel like there's a lot of things that we keep within the family, we keep for family parties, and it's just so beautiful to actually share it with the world, because like we don't know how much people want to actually well, in your case, taste our skills. So so really congratulations on that. So I don't have a lot of feedback, simply because I want to taste now. Right, I just want to buy, I want to taste, I want to eat it. But what I'm gonna say is that I felt like your ask was really clear and on part, and from where you started and where you're going, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And we just want to support you. Like it was very simple for me. I just want to taste the food. I don't know how else to say it. So
I wish I was able to send them over to all the judges before this competition. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day we'll be able to do that through laptops and the computers, get a waft of something at least. Trisha, I will pull you up next, since Rosie already mentioned I saw you taking lots of notes.
So the question is that is Achar specific to ethnicity or culture group that is familiar?
Yeah, so Achar is a South Asian product. It's actually, the term Achar means pickled, fermented. So that's what it is. And
so have you looked at that? So I get, over the years, I've met different entrepreneurs with neat products that can have universal application. Sounds to me like that's something that you've got here. But a lot of times there's opportunities, because I might look at it in the store and go, I don't know what this is, right? Where, versus, and I hear you've got a distribution, production, and a marketing are your next, sort of pinnacles to go after. Is there a specific target audience or retail chain that can give you basic income because people know what it is, that you then have the opportunity to have the funds to do the things that you've got to do to expand? Have you, looked at that opportunity or no?
Are you, sorry, your question is there a specific retail store that I'm trying to target?
No, sorry. There are retail stores that different ethnic groups frequent because there are aisles dedicated to them.
Yeah.
And have you looked at getting listings in those kinds of stores, because they understand and know your brand, which would give you some base sales which then can help?
So I'm actually already doing that. So Iqbal Foods is the largest South Asian grocery store in Ontario, and I'm in both of their locations.
Super.
So that's where I started. But I realized that the South Asian market is not my target market.
Right.
Because right now my goal is to target the larger Canadian population. The South Asian market already knows what achar is, and
Right.
they, I mean, they're okay with the imported stuff that are filled with preservatives and whatnot. So that's not my market, and we're at Healthy Planet now online, so that's been really really great, and I'm also downtown at the Side Kitchen, which is a targeting small boutique stores, and then obviously hopefully later larger chains, but going back to the whole education piece, Trisha, we've started we've started posting recipes on our blog and on our website to teach people how to use this recipe, how to use the product in their day-to-day lives. So we have mango achar chicken, and then we have phyllo pastry cups, and we have recipes for dips and ribs, and so different different applications on how they can use the product.
And so, not dissuading you from retail, but you could have an opportunity if you could get a chef to do your sampling for appetizers and amuse-bouche, and you might really leverage the food service industry too.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
But I've got lots of ideas. But yeah, this sounds great. Great presentation. Obviously, you've market tested, and you're at the next level, and that of course does require funding and support and finding. Have you found a co-packer?
Sorry, I do need to stop here because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that Brooke has a moment to ask a question. If you have another question, Trisha, also feel free to throw that in the chat, and we'll make sure that question gets over so everyone can read it. But we only have a few seconds left. But Brooke, I would invite you if you have any kind of final thoughts.
I do. I want to thank you for, I've not tried achar before. And so I want to really thank you for, in your presentation, you anchored along the way with tastes that I might be familiar with, like sauerkraut and ketchup and relish. And I am actually a pickler myself. I love making jams and pickles and chutneys. And so the process made sense to me. And now I'm really curious about the flavor combinations, because that's something that I am a foodie. I am your target market, like right here. So that was great because it really resonated with me. I'm gonna pose a question, and it's not one that I need you to answer, but one that I think would be really helpful. I am a banker. And so when you made your ask, you talked on one slide and you said, we've made sales, and you've told me where you're making sales, and you had an ask for equipment. And my immediate thought is, how much money are you making and how much money do you need? And those were the two things that you didn't talk about. Now, granted, we're in a very public setting and I get that, but that's something that when you do make an ask, when it comes to that time, you're going to want to be very specific on, because that we start doing math in our head. We can't help it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Madiha. I'm also a massive foodie. I'm really excited to learn about achar and to taste it. To taste Nani's achar. So thank you so much for sharing about your company and your story. Really appreciated it.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to invite up our fourth pitcher for the day, Aaliyah Fraser, who's the owner and operator of Lucky Bug Farm. So really excited to hear about this. Please, whenever you are comfortable to do so, take that deep breath and start your pitch.
Okay. So I'm sure you've all been to the grocery store looking for delicious, crisp, fresh vegetables, and you get to the produce section and you're disappointed. The veggies are already half wilted on the shelf. And by the time you take it home and it sits in your fridge for a few days and you cook it, it's just not looking its best and it's past its prime. And that's just not the experience that I want people to have with their food. So my name is Aaliyah Fraser. I own and operate a small market garden called Lucky Bug Farm, and I'm hoping to make some big changes to your weekly shopping trip and eventually to Ontario's food system as well. So the problem, like I mentioned, is that the vast majority of the produce sold in grocery stores is picked before it ripens and gets ready as it travels. It's grown using pesticides and herbicides. The way it is grown depletes soil health and just ruins the diversity of ecosystems. And I think one of the worst things is that it's often cultivated by exploited migrant workers. So at the end of the day, all of this being said, compared to local and farm fresh vegetables, the stuff at the grocery store, it isn't good for the environment, it isn't good for the people, and it really doesn't taste that good. So Lucky Bug Farm endeavors to solve some of these problems by growing vegetables, herbs, and flowers based on organic and ecological principles. We are a roughly quarter acre market garden that operates a community supported agriculture program whereby people pay either upfront or as they go and receive produce from my farm on a weekly basis throughout throughout the summer and the fall. Based on the feedback I've heard from my customers, the produce that I grow is unique, fresher, tastier, more flavorful than what you'd find at the grocery store. And more than just growing produce, it's my farm's mission to grow a more socially just and environmentally sustainable food system in Ontario, starting with where I live, which is Kitchener-Waterloo. So for the past 2 years, like I mentioned, Lucky Bug Farm has run a community-supported agriculture program. People who sign up can pay upfront or as they go to receive produce on a weekly basis. But right now, as I mentioned, the produce, they can only receive it during the summer and into the fall. And I would like to take Lucky Bug Farm from being a highly seasonal business to providing produce on a year-round basis. So next year, in addition to growing the size of the main season CSA and increasing the amount of sales we make to wholesale partners like restaurants and grocers, I'm here to pitch for the funding to start up a winter CSA program that will run through the late fall and into the winter. Currently, our target market are Kitchener residents, because that's where our farm is located, and between the ages of 25 and 55. And these are people who enjoy cooking, these are foodies, they eat with vegetables and enjoy consuming local produce, and they care also about the environment and where their food comes from and how it's grown. Right now, a really small percentage of our sales is attributed to one local restaurant, but I would like to increase that to a wider variety of restaurants who have locally focused menus, and also to some smaller independent grocers in Kitchener-Waterloo. So Lucky Bug Farm was founded in February of 2021, and since then, growth has been steady. So this year we grew our CSA from 5 members last year to 30 members this year, which was a really great jump. And then we also have a significant amount of regular customers who come out to our pop-up markets on the weekends to buy their weekly produce. And then marketing, we have about 2,000 social media followers. We have a website that's up and running, a Facebook and an Instagram page. And I'm really fortunate for the amount of press that Lucky Bug Farm has received in the past, year and a bit. I feel equally fortunate about how passionate our customers are about the food that they receive and how willing and happy they are to share that produce and information about Lucky Bug with their friends and their family. So food is really something that people can come together around. And because of that, I think naturally a lot of people will bring our food or our produce to their family meals, their Thanksgiving, their summer parties, and it just spreads the word that way. So competitors. I love Kitchener-Waterloo for the same reason that it can be relatively tough to start a business here or a market gardening business, because there are so many other great farms that serve this area. And I really try not to look at these people or these farmers and businesses as my competitors, because they truly are my collaborators. I work with them. We support each other. I've used greenhouse space at one of these farms, and I worked for another one of these farmers this fall. So they truly are my collaborators, and I'm as kind of the new kid on the block, very happy to learn from them and just sponge up all the knowledge that I can get. And the team, just me. Next year, the hope is to grow the size of the team to include a field worker so that during the main season, I have support growing all the vegetables, harvesting them, and just to increase the efficiency so that I'm not relying too much on volunteer work or other forms of labor that are just not as consistent and reliable. So the ask. The ask is support and help funding our winter CSA program. And this will involve just a whole bunch of equipment. So a harvest cart, Rubbermaid bins, row cover, which protects plants in the spring and fall, landscape fabric to keep weeds down. And in addition to some of the material things that I'm interested in, I'm always looking for mentorship, especially as I look to expand into producing value added products. And as I'm hiring, if anyone knows anyone in KW who they think might want to work on the farm, I'd love to make a connection with them. And so thank you so much for listening to my pitch. And even though for a lot of us, we've just gotten our first dumping of snow of the season, I hope I've made you look forward to fresh summer vegetables. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've made me sad that all of the farm shops have recently closed near me. It's very, very upsetting. But when I lived in Montreal, I had the Lufa Farms box, so got that weekly delivery. Rosie, I see you nodding. I know you're also in this region. Had that weekly delivery of farm fresh produce and loved it so much. And then when I moved out here into the countryside, I go to like the Honesty shops and everything around here, and it's wonderful. I also have a side note, which is that for the row cover, this is just like side note, but row cover, I've been recently learning about seaweed bioplastics that are being used for agricultural row cover. So it's a more sustainable way, because otherwise a lot of farmers have to use a lot of plastic. And like soft plastic's really difficult, as I'm sure you're very familiar. So this is a really up and coming area, and like across Canada, there's quite a few different companies, startups that are getting into this like seaweed and pulp kind of bioplastic for agriculture. So just a fun side note, as I know sustainability is quite important to you.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
something to research for sure.
Yeah, super interesting. Brooke, I would love to invite you to start us off.
Thank you. Really great pitch. You were very clear in your ask. So structurally, this is the equipment. What I didn't quite get, and what I'd like to get a little bit more information on, is how does this change? So, you've showed beautiful pictures of you with your produce, lettuces, and all kinds of wonderful vegetables and fruits that are really going to be in season. So what changes for you in the winter to be able to sustain you for that period of time? Because I know I've had CSA boxes, and then there's like a sharp, like a hard end, and then everything thereafter is either a stored vegetable or it's something that they didn't grow. And suddenly, like, there's bananas in my CSA box. So tell me a little bit more about how you would structure it and what's going to change.
So for me, it would be closer to that first option that you mentioned, where it's essentially storage CSA. So you're getting a lot of leeks, a lot of potatoes, a lot of shallots, some things like that are green still. So some cabbage and maybe some broccoli and leeks, but a lot of it will be storage vegetables. So where the main season CSA is, pick up on a weekly basis through, 14 to 16 weeks. The winter CSA will be bi-weekly, so that people have a chance to use up a lot of the more or the longer lasting vegetables that they'll get. So I will be growing that produce during the main season, harvesting it and storing it in the the walk-in fridge on the farm to be essentially just distributed throughout the winter. But there is a greenhouse on the property where I farm. I haven't had talks with the people who own that greenhouse because there are other market gardeners on my property, which is really lovely. But there is also the potential of growing spinach and lettuce and arugula and hardier winter greens in that space as well.
Amazing. Thank you for the clarity.
You're welcome.
Rosie, over to you.
So congratulations on doing all of this by yourself so far. So that's
Thank you.
you. Um, this really speaks to me personally, because I do not eat meat, so I do rely on a lot of fruits and vegetables. And yeah, Melanie, you were talking about the loofah farms. These are just staples for me. So really excited. I do have a question. And I think you talked a bit about that, but you were mentioning hard to find produce.
Yeah. Um, I think a lot of us are very conditioned to just see what is at the grocery store and think that that's all that there is.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I enjoyed getting from my CSA members this year is, presenting them with an option between something called Tokyo Bakana, which is kind of like if cabbage and lettuce had a baby, or a lettuce, and saying like, which one would you prefer? And then them coming back to me next week and being like, oh my god, I've never had Tokyo Bakana before, but I love it and it's so good, why don't they sell this at the grocery store? So just expanding what people see as available and people's view of local produce and just produce in general. Another thing that, you know people were really excited to get in their boxes, or
Mm-hmm.
question getting in their boxes, was kohlrabi, which is kind of a member of the brassica family. And I didn't know how to sell it other than to say that it tastes like broccoli stem, and that's a good thing. So just things that are hard to find or unique or that people don't eat all the time, and getting them excited to incorporate that into their meals. That's just what I meant by harder to find stuff. Um, and then also some things that are personal and close to me as someone of Caribbean descent, like Scotch bonnet peppers and, you know, thyme and all of those things as well. So kind of two different ways of looking at it.
I see. Thank you.
Mhm.
Another comment I have is, I love your vision about your competitors being your collaborators. Just the fact that this is the vision, I feel would will help you actually find your spot, because sometimes when you see everyone as competition, you try to fight, replicate, do it better, versus how can we serve the customers? There's so many different customers, they have so many different needs. Who am I? Who are them? Who are you? How can we work
Mhm.
together? And so I
Yeah.
think this is really the way forward, especially for you being alone again. And
Mhm.
the last thing, and it's a
I
question.
am I am gonna have to actually jump over to Trisha for a final. But if you have a question, Rosie, a third question that you want to put in the
Not
chat or over on the
there's
stage chat.
no need for an answer actually. So basically, it would be, you mentioned mentorship and you're asked, and maybe think about what would you like um, to have as a who would you like to have as a mentor, why, and what could you get from mentoring, because this is really important for new entrepreneurs.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually that does remind me to remind all of the pitchers to go back into the main rooms, the stage chat, because people are asking questions and commenting and cheering you on. That's a really good place to go in there, Leah, and say, this is what I'm looking for from a mentor. So
Okay.
Trisha,
Thank
please
you.
take us home here today.
So my it's a great story, and I love it, and it's your passion, which is wonderful. Is what's your long term goal? I don't mean 5 year goal, 1 year, 2 year. I understand extending kind of the shelf life of your year. Um, is this to become a scalable business to go from quarter acre to 2 acres? What's the long term plan, or is this just a job for you and it's working, and you're sharing your love, and you're doing what you love, and you're helping people and making them happy?
So, this is only a 5-minute pitch. I think I could talk about my business for like any entrepreneur. Like I could talk about all the plans in the world, but I had to squish it down into the length of this pitch. So in addition to, the storage winter CSA, I do want to start making value added products. And I think that is something that just makes sense to me given the fact that the main downside of this is that food is so perishable. and it's ready when it's ready, and when it's not, it's rotting and ready to go in the compost bin. So I really want to be able to take a lot of the produce that is unused or blemished or not storage quality and turn it into a variety of value added products, extend the shelf life of the products themselves, extend, the variety of things that I'm able to offer. And then the last thing I'll say is that I used to be, or I come from a background of urban planning. So eventually, once all of these different pieces of the business are kind of being managed and can operate in a way that does not require my like immediate attention all the time, I would like to, I don't know if consulting is the right word, but I would definitely like to work with farmers to make, especially ecological farmers like me, to kind of help them reduce some of the barriers that could be preventing their business and their farm business from growing from like a land use perspective. So that's the like you're talking, that's like years 2 to 3 from now, and then maybe 5 to 10 we get into consulting. So yeah,
Okay,
that's
great.
a long-term business.
Fabulous. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love the 5 to 10 year goals. Amazing. Thank you so much, Aaliyah, for sharing about Lucky Bug Farm. I think we're all starting to get really hungry, probably. I don't know if that's just me, but like all this
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's a good thing. Amazing. All right. So last but certainly not least, ciao ciao for now, Aaliyah, but last but certainly not least, we'd like to invite to the stage Antonia Ivorin, who's the founder and manager of Street Food World, Inc. So hello, Antonia. Welcome. Oh, I think you're potentially muted. Sound doesn't seem to be working for me. Yeah, your sound's not working, Antonia.
Maybe we could try without the headphones.
Oh, I think, yeah. Do you have headphones in that you could potentially take out? No, we can't. No, we can't hear you.
Antonia, if you're using the AirPods, they sometimes will desync. So if you're able to just disconnect them on Bluetooth, then your computer speaker might just suddenly pop on.
Sounds good. I can hear perfectly. Can you hear me?
Hear you now. Yeah, I don't even use Bluetooth headphones anymore. I wash my hands of that.
Okay, sorry about that. But thank you very much.
No, not at all. Not at all. Welcome to the stage. And as per everyone else, please do take a deep breath. And when you start, we'll start.
All right. Hello, judges. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonia Gong, and I'm the founder of Street Food World. And our mission is to help Canadians taste the world and immigrant residents like myself feel more like home. In 2014, I was among the 5.4 million people that immigrated to Canada in the last 20 years. And because 5.4 million can tend to feel like just a number, I'd love to share my story. I moved from Nigeria to study medicine and be a doctor so I could give myself and family a better life. But I realized I could also be successful doing what I truly love. So I decided to be a professional basketball player. And if you were in person with me, you might chuckle as well, because on a good day, I'm only 5'4". So that didn't work out. But I was fortunate enough to come across entrepreneurship. And shortly after, the idea for street food came to me, and it changed the game forever. And I've pursued it ever since. So as an immigrant resident, I miss home. I miss my family, I miss my food, and everything in between. And I feel like a lot of immigrant residents, millions of immigrant residents, feel the exact same way. And the challenge is when we go to restaurant chains or big box retailers, we don't necessarily find enough representation there. And we'd love to change that or be the solution. So what we'd love to do is offer street food and drinks from different countries around the world, one product at a time. And I'm very proud to introduce our first product. It's a West African style purple hibiscus iced tea. It's very popular on many big city streets in countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Togo, and Jamaica, just to name a few. And we're so excited because the product has done so remarkably well that in 24 months, we've produced over 25,000 units and sold over 15,000 in 19 months. And we wouldn't have done it without the help of our 30 plus restaurant and grocery store partners across the country. So I'd love to dedicate this next slide to Trisha because because I pulled it off Restaurants Canada's website. And I came across it a year ago, and it was just really encouraging to see number 6, which says ethnic or street food. And it was very encouraging to see that industry professionals do believe street food is the future of the fast food space. So that was super encouraging for me. So what's the opportunity we're looking to exploit? Well, currently we are a ethnic food supplier. We supply our drinks to ethnic restaurants and grocery stores, but we're looking bigger than that, just like Nani's Achar. We're looking to expand this taste to the mainstream market. So we're looking to sell through big box retailers, restaurant chains. Tricia mentioned that feedback. We're really looking to explore that where, we can partner with restaurants like Earl's and put a street food on their appetizer menu. So, what's our competitive landscape? Currently, we see Grace Foods and Wings as an ethnic food supplier. Grace does Caribbean food, and Wings does Asian food. So we're kind of looking to start with a similar model for now. And Siouxx, on the other hand, Siouxx and Gordon Food Services, that they supply food ingredients to the restaurant space. In 2023, we're really looking to focus on scaling up our current operations so that we can be able to exceed the demands of stores like Loblaws or Starbucks. And in 2024, we're looking to release a new street food product, which we are suspecting to be a very successful beverage as well. So why now? It's estimated that in about 10 years from now, 3 out of every 10 people living in Canada would originally be from a different ethnicity, and we'd love to make them feel welcomed home. In addition to that, we'd also love to reduce the culture shock experienced by a lot of immigrant residents. And most importantly, as a nation that has opened its arms to many people across the world, we feel like Canada and all of us residing here deserve to be able to experience and taste the world easily. And not just this time, and not just with our eyes, to actually taste the world. So I have to ask this beautiful afternoon. First, we're asking part of $100,000 to help build out our production, the production side of our business, so that we will be able to supply to stores like Loblaws and Starbucks. And secondly, I'm a solo founder. I know I've said we a lot in this presentation, but I am a solo founder who has gotten help from a lot of industry professionals. But I'm also looking to build out my executive team. So if you know anyone or you might be interested, I would love to continue the conversation. Thank you very much. And judges, I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antonia. I've seen your pitch evolve so much over the last 2.5 months, I guess, since I first saw you at the Innovation Challenge with League of Innovators. It's really exciting. All right, well, since Trisha had an entire slide dedicated to her, I'm going to invite her to be our first feedback panelist.
So just wanted some clarity. Are you finding favorite foods in other countries and then commercially making them here? Or are you importing the favorite food from certain countries? Just wasn't quite clear on that.
Absolutely. So it's the first, it's the former. So we're doing research and seeing where there's a gap in the market and seeing what the most classic street foods are and commercializing it here. And that's exactly what we did for our first product.
Okay, great. So it's love it. And the numbers are great. And I'm excited for you. And I'm going to pitch you to be at our innovator thing at the Restaurants Canada show.
Thank you very much.
Love it. I love to hear that. Brooke, over to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed your pitch and I appreciated your story and sharing your journey because I think it really helped to demonstrate what the need is and also the solution. And so one of the things that was just a little unclear for me is if you want to be a distributor or if you're trying to get into the distribution chains that you mentioned, like Grace and Wings and Gordon and Siouxx.
So I would like to be a distributor, but I would also be open to being part of the distribution chain as well. For example, with Cisco, I wouldn't mind listing my product there as well. I mean, just to start, I'll be open to taking advantage of their distribution channels before I set up my own. But either way, I see either way working in the long run.
Hi, that's a really interesting switch in business proposition. I have a feeling I've tasted your drink
Yes.
before. Yes, I
Yes.
have. I recognized it. And
Yes.
and so one of the things that and it was beautiful. It was a really fresh new taste for me, and I loved it. And so, it sort of brings up that sort of two things is it's similar to Trisha's question. Having your own product line has a lot of value, but it's also a lot of time and effort to run that. And then separately starting to pick up other brands who are solely focused on creating their product and carrying them alongside. And so, that becomes sort of a way to expand, but also it can become a way to split yourself as well, or a risk of splitting yourself. So I like that you're pacing yourself in that, but that you do have a vision to get big. And I love that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Rosie, would you like to take us home for our pitch segment here today?
Yes, actually, I have very few comments, but congratulations on your numbers. Congratulations on your partnerships. Actually, I had just a one question, and I wanted to know, in your personal opinion,
Yes.
what makes people take your product from the shelf versus another one?
Absolutely. So I'll just speak to the channels we're distributing at now. So we're mainly focusing on ethnic stores because they require the least amount of education. As a matter of fact, we've been so fortunate for our product to spread primarily by word of mouth, because the way we've designed it, we've designed it with authenticity in mind, where it has the name it's called in that region. So the hibiscus tea is called Zobo. So when a Nigerian, for example, sees that, they immediately say, "Oh my gosh, I know what it is and I want it. I can't believe it's here." So that's a response we've been getting. And and like Brooke said, I'm pacing myself because we do want to expand mainstream. So I'm trying to understand, what the challenges there would be in terms of the barrier, and making it easily accessible. And one way I thought of, sorry, I don't know if I'm now going overboard, but one way I thought of was to offer a semi-processed form of the hibiscus tea. Like, for example, Starbucks has a hibiscus drink, a summer hibiscus drink. So I thought, why can't I just, supply them the hibiscus syrup to start, and from there, at least people can start understanding what it is, what it tastes like, and we'll go from there. Because it's pretty much iced tea. I guess it's just the marketing and communication. So those are just the challenges around. But where we are right now, people know what it is and they pick it up. And just because it's so authentic, the taste is authentic, we make it exactly how it's made. It's a very traditional recipe. But what we're looking to change is the marketing, how we deliver it, and that's what we're looking to make sophisticated. But for the most part, it tastes exactly like you would if you were to try that same product in Nigeria or Ghana.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's really incredible because I've been listening to pitches for a very long time, and we've been doing the CSBW pitch conference for 3 years. Last year was CPG as well. Or I know this isn't CPG this year, but similar kind of companies applying. But this year, there was this incredible abundance of ethnic food brands. So you speaking to that immigrant nostalgia and the gap in ethnic food, and seeing that like ethnic street foods is this like growing area. I can see that so much just from this just from the applications. And if anyone wants to go back and watch the semifinalist videos, you'll see more companies doing really cool things. It's a very difficult decision to choose the semifinalist, never mind this, the 5 finalists here who are here today. Everyone's doing such incredible things, and I'm so excited to go to a grocery store and see all of these in the aisles. So thank you, Antonia.
Yes, thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Brooke. Thanks, Rosie.
All right, so well done to all of our pitchers. Of course, for you, the hard part is over. Thank you to our judges, Trisha, Brooke, and Rosie. To the judges, I will ask you to start to head over to the deliberation area. But while you're kind of getting your things together, making some final notes, perhaps you don't have to rush over there, because I'll be a couple more minutes myself. But I wanted to ask the audience. Now it's your turn to it's our turn to hear from you, is what I was trying to say, and your turn to do a little bit of work here today. So if you open up the event chat, or if you go to the polls section and hop in, the poll should be live now. And that is where you can vote on your audience favorite. And as I mentioned at the beginning, but it was a while ago, the audience favorite will be walking home with $1,500. There's also going to be a first, second, and third place prize, but please do make sure to go in there and make sure to put in your vote. So that should be live now. If anyone's having questions, you can ask in the comments. We have people hanging out over, people from Volition and from CSBW hanging out over in the comments. So while the judges are finding their way over to the deliberation session, you're going to be making your votes. We'll announce the audience favorite along with the first, second, and third place at 5:45 p.m. Eastern time. But in the meantime, what's already started, so hopefully you're here hearing me, / you've already gone maybe to learn more about myth-busting government procurement. If you missed the first 10 minutes, you can rewatch that in the future. But myth-busting government procurement is on right now, and then followed at 3:30 p.m. by Make Marketing Easier. Then we'll have event networking, of course, from 4 to 5 p.m. Then make sure to come back here to the main stage, because there's going to be a really great farm-to-table entrepreneur panel with some really cool companies, and we're going to learn all about them and what they're doing, and maybe some secrets about how to build businesses like theirs. And then we'll see you back here at 5:45 p.m. So that's all from me for right now. I will see you in a little bit. I hope you continue to have a wonderful time at the conference here today. And once again, so many congratulations to all 5 of the companies that pitched. It was great to see everyone commenting in the chat there, and we just really, we're really excited to get to know you better. So thank you all, and I will see you in a little bit.